You wake up one morning to discover that your mailbox has been burned to cinders. Trouble's brewing. It could be your whole house next, with you still inside. But it doesn't come to that because you know exactly what to do to ward it off. You head inside and finally take your friend up on his offer of a night of drinking at your place. Problem solved. If you're scratching your head in confusion at this scenario, stay tuned till the end. For a little context, this is just one of the many bizarre things that would happen if Zeus, the ancient Greek god, was still calling the shots today. Now, before we do a deep dive into how Zeus would rule the earth, let's do a quick recap of his mythos. Born to Rhea and Cronus, Zeus had his work cut out for him even before he was born. His father Cronus, who'd overthrown his own father to gain control of the cosmos, believed that one of his children would return the favor. So what did he do? He started eating them, of course. None of the elder Olympians, including but not limited to Hestia, Hades, and Poseidon, were spared. But by the time that Zeus was born, Rhea had had enough of Cronus's madness. Thus, instead of letting Cronus make a meal out of him, she had baby Zeus sent to a cave on the island of Crete. A few years down the line, Zeus, now all grown up, returned from his exile to overthrow his father, freeing all of his siblings in the process. Now, following their father's defeat, Zeus and his siblings then cast lots to decide who'd rule what. That's how Zeus came to rule Mount Olympus, and the rest, as they say, was history. But what if it was the present? What if Zeus was still in charge? Well, to go back to the scenario at the beginning, you definitely have to step up your hospitality game. Because among other things, Zeus was also the god of hospitality. This means that ancient Greeks who upset their friends, family, or guests upset Zeus as well. And that's not all. If he were still around, you could expect him and his messenger, Hermes, to drop in disguised as guests at any time. Oh boy, the anxiety. You'd never be mean to another person in your life thinking that it might be Zeus out to test you. On top of that, Zeus also oversaw oath-keeping, so you'd have to keep all of your promises unless you wanted to be struck by a thunderbolt. Besides keeping your word, you'd have to sell things at a fair price as well. Whoops, there goes your chance of listing yet another piece of junk for more than what it's worth on Facebook Marketplace. Jokes apart, Zeus wasn't as petty as he's sometimes made out to be. For instance, people who angered Zeus by making unfair profits could always bring him around by having a statue of him erected in a sanctuary. In case you were wondering why there are so many statues of him today, I guess the ancient Greeks just weren't the most honest of sellers. But despite this bargain, in a lot of ways, the world would still be a much better place under Zeus' command than it is under real-world leaders. Because despite being the god of fairness, Zeus was quite unfair in his dealings, especially with women. He was notorious, much to his wife Hera's dismay, for taking women he took a liking to by force. What makes this worse is that he'd disguise himself as various animals to get the women to let down their guard. So yeah, with Zeus around, women would not only have to look out for creepy men, they'd have to be wary of all animals as well. And don't even get me started on how we deal with the whole birthing a demigod problem. Apart from this, the punishments meted out to you for your crimes, both real and alleged, would be far worse than the ones we've in place right now. Take Prometheus getting his liver picked apart by an eagle every single day as an example of what Zeus' idea of a punishment is. Speaking of punishments, Zeus' own crimes, be they assaults or faulty judgments, would all go unchecked because what could anyone possibly do about them? It's not like we could kill him, because while they could get hurt, Greek gods were mostly immortal. Not to mention, he's the king of the gods and would annihilate us within minutes with the kind of power he possesses. Ousting him by means of guile would also be out of the question for common men, unless they managed to get the Titans on their side. But getting the Titans to march on Mount Olympus could also cause enough destruction to set the Earth back hundreds of years in progress. It'd be like all the nuclear powers going to war, but only with the elements. All in all, Zeus' rule of the world wouldn't be much different than what's already taking place today, except that the stakes would be a tad different. What do you have to say about it? Would you elect someone like him into power? Which other mythological figure should we speculate about next? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more insane scenarios.